Think you can't score a dependable gun for less than $100 in 2025? Think again. Whether you're a long-time shooter looking to stretch your dollar or a first-timer trying to get into firearms without dropping serious cash, there are still some surprising gems out there. I've had the same doubts myself, asking, can a gun that cheap really be worth a damn? But after plenty of range time, some trial and error, and more than a few lucky finds, I can say with confidence, yes, you can still get quality without going broke. In this video, I'll walk you through 5 budget-friendly firearms you can grab today for under $100. We're talking everything from old-school wheel guns to reliable rimfire rifles. And I'll throw in some insider tips on how to track down these deals, because let's be real, finding a good gun at that price takes patience, timing, and a little bit of hustle. Let's start with one of my go-to-budget picks, the Heritage Rough Rider. This is a single-action revolver that channels the legendary Colt Peacemaker vibes but doesn't require a second mortgage to own. It's chambered in .22 long rifle, and brand new models usually run around $99. If you dig through the used market, especially at gun shows or pawn shops, you might even score one for less. What makes the Rough Rider stand out is its vintage cowboy styling. It loads and unloads through a swing-out gate one round at a time, just like the old days. Sure, it's a bit slower than modern revolvers, but that's part of the experience. And if you're willing to spend a few extra bucks, you can pick up a conversion cylinder to shoot .22 Magnum as well. Accuracy? Surprisingly good. Mine's been through thousands of rounds and still runs like a champ. I added some custom grips to mine for flair, but the base version performs just fine right out of the box. The single action trigger means you'll have to thumb the hammer back before each shot, but that's part of what gives this revolver its Wild West charm. For less than $100, it's one of the most fun little range toys you can buy, and it's also great for teaching beginners. Pro tip: shop during holiday sales and never overlook the used rack. You'll be amazed what people trade in. Now moving on to something a bit more modern, the Savage Model 64, or a similar semi-automatic .22 long rifle. These lightweight rimfire rifles are incredibly common and usually built with simplicity and budget in mind. Savage, Winchester, and Stevens all make variants, and they're a staple in the gun world for good reason. The Model 64 feeds from a 10-round detachable mag and uses a straight blowback system, which keeps the internals simple and the price low. I picked mine up, used for around $80, and let me tell you, it's been worth every penny. What I love about these rifles is their flexibility. Whether you're plinking tin cans, teaching a new shooter, or thinning out varmints, they'll get the job done. The adjustable iron sights make zeroing in easy no matter what ammo you're running. They're not precision rifles by any stretch, but they're plenty accurate for casual shooting. Want my advice? Keep an eye on the secondhand market. A lot of folks trade these rifles in once they upgrade, so deals pop up often. And during Black Friday or end-of-year clearance sales, older models can dip under that $100 mark, sometimes even brand new. At the end of the day, the Savage Model 64 is a fantastic starter rifle or range beater that'll give you years of reliable use. Use the money you saved to stock up on ammo, and you've got yourself an all-day shooter without blowing your budget. Now let's shift gears into a category that's gained a bit of a reputation, those no-frills pocket pistols known as Saturday night specials. These little handguns have never been known for high-end craftsmanship or long-term reliability, but when it comes to affordability, they're hard to beat. Over the years, I've snagged a few oddballs like the FIE Titan, chambered in 25 ACP, and even a Lorsen 9mm, both for less than $100. They're not exactly range kings, but they're interesting, to say the least. Let's start with the Titan. This compact Italian, made semi-auto, was actually the very first pistol I ever carried concealed. Now, I'll be the first to admit 25 ACP is far from ideal for defensive use. It lacks stopping power, and ammo isn't cheap for what it delivers. But for a deep concealment option, it'll do in a worst-case scenario. The Titan has actually held up better than I expected. Despite its age, mine still runs reliably and hits minute of bad guy at close range. It's a fun little piece of firearms history that costs less than a fancy dinner. Now the Lorsen. That's a different animal. While it does shoot the more potent 9mm, the build quality reflects the price tag. These guns are cast from pot metal alloys and tend to have issues if you run them too hard. Mine's more of a safe queen than a range regular, but again, under $100, you get what you pay for. That brings me to the high point, a pistol that sits somewhere between budget and bizarre. You can often find used 380 ACP models for under the $100 mark. Yeah, they're bulky. Yeah, the slides look like a brick with sights, but guess what? They work. High points are surprisingly tough for their price, and while they're not elegant, they're rugged enough to handle abuse and keep cycling. The massive slide actually helps manage recoil, especially in the smaller calibers. Here's a tip from someone who's bought and traded more budget guns than he can count. Be patient and shop smart. Avoid sellers trying to get $300 for what's basically a $50 pistol. Look for fixer-uppers labeled gunsmith specials. Sometimes a non-functional pistol just needs a spring or a good cleaning to come back to life. These pistols won't replace your go-to-carry gun, but they're great for tinkering, collecting, or tossing in a toolbox as a last-ditch backup. Next up, we've got something special for the military surplus fans out there: the Carcano bolt-action rifle. These Italian surplus rifles have been pouring into the US market lately thanks to mass imports. And if you time it right, you can snag one for less than $100. I personally grabbed 5 of them during a flash sale for just $99 a piece. There's a lot of variety in the Carcano lineup: long rifles, cavalry carbines, straight bolt handles, and most are chambered in 6.5 by 52mm or occasionally in .30 caliber. These rifles served in several major conflicts and still have a lot of fight left in them. My cavalry carbine, for example, still hits right on the money with the right ammo, despite being over 80 years old. Ammo, though, is the tricky part. Most Carcanos need 6.5 by 52mm loads, which can be tough to find unless you reload. Some of the later Model 38s use .30 caliber, which is a bit more common. If you hand load, keeping these rifles fed isn't a big deal. My advice? Keep an eye on sites like Royal Tiger Imports or J&G Sales. They often run blowout deals on surplus Carcanos, but you'll have to act fast. They go quick. These aren't just range toys, they're historical pieces that still shoot straight. For the money, you get a rifle with real heritage and surprisingly decent performance. Just make sure to inspect the bore and check overall condition before committing. Many of these imports sat in storage for decades. That said, for under $100, a Carcano is one of the most unique and rewarding additions you can add to your arsenal. It's collectible, it's functional, and it's got more character than a modern budget bolt gun ever will. Wrapping up our list are 2 fascinating military bolt actions from Austria: the Steyr Model 95 and the earlier Steyr Model 88/90. These rifles, chambered in 8 by 50mm rimmed or 8 by 56mm rimmed, aren't as commonly seen in the surplus world today, but they're absolutely worth chasing down if you're into old world engineering. I scooped up 3 of them during a flash sale, $99 each, and let me tell you, they've become some of the most intriguing pieces in my surplus lineup. These rifles were built tough, with rugged straight pull bolt systems and strong receivers that can still handle the pressures of modern ammunition, especially the Model 95. That makes them a solid option for shooters who don't want to mess with black powder loads or overly specialized ammo. Now, the older Model 88/90 is a different beast. It's best kept on a diet of reduced pressure or black powder rounds, but even then, it's a blast to shoot. There's something deeply satisfying about working that straight pull bolt and sending rounds downrange from a rifle that's well over a century old. As for ammunition, no surprise here, it can be tricky. 8x50mm rimmed and 8x56mm rimmed aren't exactly stacked up on store shelves. But there's hope. Several companies are now producing these cartridges again, and if you reload, your options open up significantly. With the right brass and dies, you can keep these rifles running without too much trouble. If you're shopping for a Steyr, watch out for deals from importers like Royal Tiger Imports or Classic Firearms. They regularly run specials on rifles with cosmetic blemishes, dings in the stock, faded bluing, maybe a little rust. Don't let that scare you off. These rifles were built to last and often clean up far better than you'd expect. For under $100, you're getting real, old-world craftsmanship and a reliable range companion that's also dripping with history. So, there you have it. 5 firearms you can still pick up for under $100 in 2025. Whether it's the Western-style fun of the Heritage Rough Rider, the surplus charm of the Carcano and Steyr rifles, or the gritty appeal of Saturday night specials and the dependable Savage Model 64, there's something in this list for every kind of shooter on a budget. Of course, finding these bargains takes a little time and effort. Be patient, stay persistent, and keep your eyes open. Watch for deals from the major importers like Classic Firearms and Royal Tiger Imports. Dig through pawn shop shelves, check local gun stores, and don't forget online platforms like Gunbroker, where setting alerts for specific price ranges can give you a serious edge. And here's a tip. When you're buying used, especially older or surplus guns, always inspect the firearm thoroughly. Check the action. Inspect the bore, look for pitting or damage, and make sure it's safe to shoot. Even if it needs some love, you can often breathe new life into these old guns for a lot less than buying something brand new off the shelf. Now it's your turn. Have you scored any amazing finds for under $100? Drop your stories in the comments and share those hidden gems with the community. And if you got some value from this video, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and share it with your fellow bargain hunters. Affordable firearms are still out there, you just need to know where to look. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Until next time, stay safe, shoot straight, and keep hunting for that next great deal.